What is up, everybody? This is Chris from Madrid here on Madrid Videos with my good friend here, Mark, right here. And next up, we're going to tell you guys who we think the most underrated and the most overrated players in baseball history is. Stay tuned to find out. Let's get to it now, yo. Alright, so first off, we're going to start off with, we're going to discuss who we think the most underrated players are. And Mark, you'll go first. Take it away. Who do you think the most underrated players are?
Alright. I really only did I really only did like these guys from the modern era. I don't have a single player from both sides of the underrated or overrated. That's from like the 70s and anytime later than that. I really only have like modern era guys. So, so to start off, I feel like one of the most underrated offensive players of all time. This guy put up numbers. He had like multiple 40 home run seasons and I bet none of you guys know this guy. Vinny Castilla.
I don't even know who that is, to be honest, either.
He was a force to be reckoned with in the late 90s for the Rockies. Some may argue that because he played at Coors Field, he had an easier chance than everybody else. But that's just some bullshit. I bet some of you guys can't even hit a home run at Coors Field. So. And then number 2 on the list, I got Maglio Ordonez from the Tigers. One thing that he's probably remembered for is that walk-off home run that sent the Tigers to the 2006 World Series.
Oh yeah, that guy, yeah.
That's probably the only thing that he's remembered for, but everybody forgets about all of his MVP caliber seasons.
I mean, did he ever win the MVP?
No, but he was up there. He was like top 2, top 3 in voting, I think like in 2002. Which in 2002 the brings me to my next player, number 3, the 2002 AL MVP Miguel Tejada, very underrated shortstop. Was born in my birth year, so I feel like that just gives him like a bit more sympathy for me.
True that, but he did take PEDs though.
That was not confirmed. So, anyways, moving on to number 4. There's a little bit of bias here, but. I feel like everybody forgets about this guy too, and just how good he was on both sides of the ball. Hideki Matsui, 2009 World Series MVP.
Oh yeah, Hideki Matsui, yeah, definitely.
Probably one of the best players. I think he's from Japan.
Yeah, he is from
probably
Japan,
the best offensive bat. Oh no disrespect to Ichiro, but probably the second best player from Japan.
I mean, that's debatable. I mean, Ichiro definitely is better, but also Shohei Ohtani, he's much better than him too, you know.
But I feel like with Shohei Ohtani, it's just too early to prove. So
true early, but I mean, he can pitch and hit, and Hideki Matsui can't pitch for shit.
But yeah, number 4 I got Hideki Matsui. Number 5, there's been a lot of PED allegations around this guy, but the numbers that he still put up was some numbers that we may never see again. Andres Galarraga, the big cat from Venezuela. That was his nickname. So, another offensive bat for the Rockies, right there with Vinny Castilla. Dante Bichette was in that, was right there too. But
I mean, it is safe to say that every player since the '90s is under suspicion of PED. Basically, every player.
All right, but like, honestly, just let's leave that shit for another time.
Yeah, I mean, even some people think that Cal Ripken used PEDs. But.
The bullshit this guy says is respectable sometimes.
Really, the bullshit.
Anyways, number 6 on the list. This guy was overseen. Was in the shadows of Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter. Nomar Garcia-Parra.
Yep.
Amazing defense. Had that offense for a while. Obviously slowed down. But Nomar Garcia-Parra, also probably the strangest name on the list. All right, number 7, I got Juan Gonzalez, another guy that that probably used PEDs. He had two MVP seasons in the 90s, both for the Rangers. He's an outfielder too, so I feel like people just forget about him. And he always kept putting up numbers even till the last season of his career. At number 8, I got first baseman Mark Teixeira.
Yeah, Mark Teixeira. Yeah, he was underrated. Yeah.
Played for the Angels, Braves, Rangers, and Yankees. He was an All-Star. Had an MVP season, almost 2. I think in 2004 and 2009.
Yeah.
So number 9, my only pitcher from both sides, CC Sabathia.
Oh, CC
CC Sabathia, man, this guy was amazing. I don't think he threw a no-hitter, but he was also good at batting.
Well, I think he did once. I forgot. But he was. I don't think. I kind of disagree with that. I think he was just perfectly. I don't think he's underrated or overrated. I mean, his last 5 seasons sucked ass. Safe to say.
Yeah, but like, he did kind of fall off due to injuries, but he had a long stretch. He was a Hall of Famer.
He did have a Cy Young season back in 08 with the. I forgot. Was it with
Indians?
Yeah, the Indian Jay.
Wait, no, 07. It was in 07.
07,
08 was his best season, though.
It was one of them. It was 07, 08.
08 was his best season when he got traded to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Yeah, the Brewers, yeah.
So, and then my final most underrated player of all time, that I believe is Omar Vizquel. I think he's still on the Hall of Fame ballots, but probably the best defensive shortstop of all time, right there with Ozzie Smith. Obviously, he wasn't that much of an offense guy. He didn't hit too many home runs, but he still stole bases. He got on base. And yeah, so Omar Vizquel, he should be in the Hall of Fame. One of the best defensive players of all time.
I want to go that far, but he was a good defensive player. Best
Oh my
defensive
God.
player. All right, now here's the real most underrated MLB players. Okay, so I'm going to start from the bottom to the top. Here's how I'm going to go. And I have a mixture of players, you know, from like the 20s, 30s, all the way to like now times, you know, a range different era players. Okay, so first I got Andy Pettit, you know, from the Yankees. You know, he pitched.
Andy Pettit?
Yeah, Andy Pettit.
Can't even say his name right.
Andy Pettit. I got Andy Pettit. This guy is underrated as shit. I mean, he's got over 250 wins, and he was only in the All-Star game like 3 times, you know. He's really looked under because of some of the other pitchers that the Yankees have had, you know, like Clemens and all those other guys, you know, it's definitely looked down under, but he definitely is pretty underrated, you know. But let's see, who else is underrated? Carlos Beltran, he's another underrated player, Carlos Beltran. You know, I really hope this guy gets in the Hall of Fame, you know. He did get fired, you know. It sucked that he got fired for coaching the Mets, you know. I thought that was kind of bullshit.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I almost forgot about that.
They couldn't prove that he cheated, and they still fired him, you know. But, you know, I thought they should have punished the players instead of him because Carlos Beltran, it seemed like he didn't do anything. But, anyways, yeah, he is underrated. Like, this guy, he can bat from both sides of the plate. He had, I think, over 300, over 400, one of those home runs, and just did incredible. He was actually the very first player I got an autograph from. Very first player. And I still have that autograph today. I think another underrated player at number 8, I think Manny Ramirez, extremely underrated player. You know, his stats were off the chain, you know, over 500 home runs. But unfortunately, his career, you know, where only people look at it towards the end of his career when he used the PEDs. That's what people only think of him now, which, you know, they shouldn't. Do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame one day? Yes, I do. Maybe not first ballot. I mean, I think that first ballot already passed anyways, but I think he should. Before the 10th, maybe like the 8th or 9th ballot, getting that Hall of Fame spot. He definitely deserves it. Let's see. I got Tim Lincecum. This guy was underrated. I mean, his first 3-4 seasons, one of the best for a pitcher in history. Great, you know, really great. You know, won the World Series with the Giants. I think like 2-3 times around there. He was on that team. You know, just that his last couple seasons, you know, it was disappointing for diehard Giants fans and diehard MLB fans, but he still did really good. He pitched a no-hitter and threw over 150 pitches. Like, who else could say that? Like, that's really great. You know, I think I agree with Mark when he said Nomar Garciaparra. This is the only pick we both agree on that's underrated. You know, Nomar Garciaparra was underrated. I'm surprised he said it since he's like one of the biggest Red Sox haters. You know, but yes, he is underrated, you know.
They just suck.
We don't suck with first place, bitch. First place. You know, but Nomar Garciaparra is underrated. It's because, you know, Jeter and A-Rod were the superior shortstops in that 90s, early 2000s era, which underlooked Garcia, but he was just as good, you know, in many ways. Even defensively, I would argue even better than those two defensively. Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And then number 5, I think Edgar Martinez. This guy is underrated. You know, he was the guy who opened the door for DHs to come, you know, like David Ortiz. He opened the door for people like them and opened the door for many other DHs to come, like Shohei Ohtani. You know, if it wasn't for Edgar Martinez, Shohei Ohtani will not be leading the league in homers right now, you know, be in that DH position, you know. And number 4, I got Larry Walker. This guy, is underrated too. You know, a lot of Rockies
Oh, yeah.
players, you know, there's a lot of Rockies players you can look back that are underrated because the Rockies have been known as a shitty baseball club ever since they formed in '93. You know, so a lot of the players look down upon. Like Todd Helton's a pretty underrated. He was a player I could have put on here, but I chose to go with Larry Walker because he was a better player and better outfielder. Even though Todd Helton played first base, but yeah, both underrated players. But Larry Walker, right? And then at number 3, I think Pete Rose is underrated because he's not in the Hall of Fame. That's the only reason why. Like, of course, yeah, his stats are really good. A lot of people won't think he's underrated. And I think this guy should be in the Hall of Fame. Just because he cheated, I think it's unfair. That's why I think he's underrated. He's one of the greatest, I'd argue, one of the greatest players of all time, one of the greatest hitters, and I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. He is definitely underrated by Cooperstown standard points, but a lot of baseball historians would say he's not underrated, obviously, because, you know, his stats prove that he's one of the greatest players of all time. Get him in the Hall of Fame, Cooperstown. Come on now.
Bitch asses.
And at number 2, I think Jack Morris, he's extremely underrated. He should have been in the Hall of Fame. It was like 15 tries and couldn't get it. That's ridiculous, man. He is one of the only pitchers in history to pitch over 10 innings in the World Series and go shutout ball through that in that Game 7 against the Braves, you know. And he did remarkable in that and other games too, you know, as a Tiger, you know, with the Twins. Just a remarkable career. And, you know, unfortunately, he's not in the Hall of Fame, which should be recounted or revoted somehow, some way. And who I think is the most underrated player of all time, I think it's Shooters Joe Jackson. I'm going old school here because people only look at his career as, you know, as the Black Sox scandal and cheating, you know, but that's not what it was. He has the 3rd highest rated batting average of all time, even though if the historians don't want to count it, it's still there. We know, us true baseball fans, we know it's there. 356 lifetime batting average. Definitely should be in the Hall of Fame despite his cheating. You know, I think his sentence has gone long enough, and I think Cooperstown, that's another pick. You need to let the doors open for him, please.
Swear.
Yeah. Another great player. I would compare him to even greats like Ty Cobb or Babe Ruth of that era, because this guy was that good. And Hoggins Wagner. Even superior than Hoggins Wagner. You know,
Hoggins?
Yeah.
Honus?
Yeah. Honus Wagner. Hoggins, whatever. All right. Now, let's move on now. All right. Ooh, the most overrated MLB players. We'll move on to that. All right, we'll start off with you again. Who do you think the most overrated MLB player is?
All right, I'm gonna get this one out the way because he's still playing today. But I feel like by the end of his career, he will go down as the most overrated player of all time. That's Bryce Harper. This guy, if he was not the first pick in the MLB draft, nobody would be talking about him.
That is true.
If he did not hit those 500-foot home runs when he was in high school, nobody would be talking about him.
That is true.
So. I feel like people just overhype him so much for during his draft time that he had a couple of good seasons, but ever since then he's been just like mediocre.
Yeah.
But people see that mediocrity as superstar level type of shit.
Yeah.
Only because he has so much talk around him. There was so much hype. And to be honest, like he's probably not even top 10. He's probably not even a top 10 outfielder right now.
That is fact.
As of June 30th,
like his first couple years, I would compare him to as good as Trout, but then ever since then, he wasn't that good. I mean, he definitely fell off. He is not worth that $330,000, you know, $1 million contract, or million. My bad, I said $1,000 million. He's not worth that at all. Not a penny.
No means.
So, yeah. But yes, that's what made him even more overrated.
You know what's funny to me is that people used to compare Bryce Harper and Mike Trout. That used to be a debate.
Now
at this point, it's like, what the fuck? Was that really a thing?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man.
So,
2021 now. And that was so 2016.
Although in 2015 he did deserve that MVP.
He did, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think Stanton won that year. I believe.
No, he won that year.
Yeah, Stanton. Yeah.
No, Harper.
Oh, Harper. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My bad. Brain fart. All right. Continue.
And then after Bryce Harper, I got Jose Canseco. The king of inconsistent is what I would call him. It adds on the fact that he used steroids and was a cheater, very cocky person. He's still cocky to this day. I don't know if you guys see his tweets, but like what the fuck? Homeboy called out A-Rod to a fucking boxing match.
Yeah, no, and Logan Paul too. I mean, he could probably win that.
But yeah, I got Jose Canseco. He did have that MVP season too, and then number 3, I got Jason Varitek, the catcher for the Red Sox. I think people see him as I think people only see him as a star because he was a long-term catcher for the Red Sox. But to be honest, like, did he ever put up MVP numbers? No. Was he a Gold Glover? Sure.
Yeah,
but
I hate to agree with Mark on that one, but I think yes, Jason Varitek was a little bit overrated. I mean, I don't even remember him that much. You know? Yeah.
Number 4. Now that I got my Red Sox hate out the way, I'm gonna kind of attack my own players. Roger Maris.
Yes.
At number 4, I put Roger Maris because after that 61 home run season, kind of just disappeared. Not even Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Ended up putting up only about 260 home runs, which I say only because after a 61 home run season, you would assume that they would at least keep something of like 50, 40, 30. I think the most he had after 61 home runs was about 27, right around there. So, and the number 5, I got Bo Jackson.
What? Bo Jackson? What?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you fucking kidding? This is one of the greatest athletes ever on the planet.
The key word is athletes, not baseball players. People see him as a great because he's been one of the only players to play football and baseball at the same time.
But as a baseball player, he was great. He's the only sports player to be in an all-star game for both sports, football and baseball.
Listen to me, but if he didn't play football and he didn't excel football the way he did, there wouldn't be so much talk about him playing baseball. And I feel like that's the reason why he gets overrated, because people talk about him just because he could do both things at once. Yes, in my opinion, he's probably the best athlete of all time, because you don't always see people playing both football and baseball at the same time.
I mean, successful.
But that doesn't mean that he was extremely good at both of them.
I mean, there's other players who tried. There's other players who tried doing both, like what's that guy's name?
Deion Sanders?
Yeah, Deion Sanders. Yeah, Deion Sanders. He tried, but he was shit at baseball. But Bo Jackson, he was great at baseball. I think he was even better at baseball than he was at football. Even though he was pretty good at both. You know, he hit a home run off Nolan Ryan in the All-Star game, 1989. You know, dead center. You know, not many people can say that in an All-Star game. And he got the MVP, 1989. You know, but I gotta disagree with you on that. But you know, but anyways, I'll go to my picks now. You know, I wonder if they can still see it. But anyways, let's see, most overrated players. I did agree with you on 2. You know, I was surprised. You know, I didn't know we got the same picks. But yes, Jose Canseco, an overrated player. I mean, he really only had like 1 or 2 great seasons. That 1988 season was a great season. You know, the 40 homers and 40 stolen bases, the first to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And with McGuire, you know, that's the Splash Brothers. I forgot. No, that's Steph Curry. Bash Brothers. That was Curry and Curry and Klay Thompson. Yeah, but as the Bash Brothers, yeah, you know, great duo. But it didn't last too long because like not many great things last long. You know, especially sex. You know, 30 seconds. But anyways. You know, let's see. Roger Maris, yeah, we did agree on Roger Maris. He is truly overrated. He had a one-hit wonder season in that one. That was the only good season. Other than that,
but it was an amazing season.
It was an amazing season. Yes, 61 homers, but it was a fluke, a one-hit wonder. You know, because after that, he really didn't do much. You know, he only had 275 homers lifetime, so about 25% of his homers were from that season. Let's see. Also, I got John Smoltz. I think he's an overrated player because compared to the other people in his era, this guy should not be in the Hall of Fame. If Roger Clemens is not in the Hall of Fame, then this guy shouldn't either, because Roger Clemens is 10 times better than this guy. Roger Clemens was one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and this guy gets to be in the Hall of Fame, and Roger Clemens doesn't. Like, come on, John Smoltz, he is good in his ways, but I think he's overrated. I don't think he should have been first ballot. No way in hell he should have been first ballot. Yeah, first ballot. No way in hell he should have been first ballot Hall of Fame.
I didn't even know that. Bro.
Yeah, no way in hell. You know, if Roger Clemens is still fighting for that, you know, but, you know, yes, he was a closer too. No, that was good. You know, that's a bonus. You know, if he wasn't a closer, he probably wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame in the first place because his pitching was But anyways, you know, you can call me hater if you want, but that's what I think. And I think, you know, a lot of y'all, you know, probably get pissed at me at this, but I think Ernie Banks is a little overrated because I don't see, like, why is he called Mr. Cub out of all people? Like, I think Anthony Rizzo should be called Mr. Cub.
What?
Yeah, I think Anthony Rizzo or, you know, Chris Bryant should be called Mr. Cub. Why Ernie Banks out of all people Mr. Cub? You know, he had a great career, you know, God rest his soul, you know, he's dead, but, you know, he, you know, he should not be that title, Mr. Cub. You know, he had like 512 home runs. You know,
that's not enough for
over
Mr.
2,000 hits. But you know, as Mr. Cub, you know, I don't think anyone should deserve the title. But if anyone deserves it, I think like an Anthony Rizzo should get. You know, because he's playing right now. He's the heart and soul of that team. You know.
Hear me out. So are you saying that Anthony Rizzo is a better player than Ernie Banks?
I mean, right now, yes, because who's still playing? Anthony Rizzo still played. I mean, he's putting up them numbers. You know, he's doing a lot. You know, outside of baseball and inside of baseball. You know, he's a cool dude. You know, to chill with. You know, on the weekend.
What, you like him?
What? No. I mean, as a player, yes, he's a great player, but you know, not in the way you might be thinking of. You know, but anyways, we'll move on.
Okay, just everybody forgot what you just said. Right?
But yeah, anyways, we will move on. Okay, Jason Giambi, another overrated player. You know, Jason Giambi, he wasn't that good. I mean, if it wasn't for the PEDs, you know, we probably wouldn't be talking about him right now. You know, he sucked. That's all I have to say. He sucked ass. I mean, he was too slow to steal a base. You know, he had the power, but that was it. He couldn't play outfield or nothing. And all these people had gone.
First base.
He played outfield too. You know, in the MLB game, it shows him playing right field in DH, yeah. But anyways, but another player who's overrated, Dale Strawberry, an overrated player. You know, he had that one good season where the Mets won the World Series, but other than that, he didn't really do much, and now he's really known for, you know, having sex with girls in the locker rooms and getting that DUI or going to jail for something. He went to jail for like 5-6 months, but that's really all he was remembered for. You know, I give you props, you know, getting that, you know, pussy down the game, but I mean, if you can't,
I doubt that.
I mean, but if you can't show and prove that you deserve that, I mean, then you shouldn't be doing. You should say that for after the game, like a normal player does. You know, like Justin Verlander, he gets it after the game. You know, from Kate Upton. You know, have some class, man, have some respect. But anyways, I think another overrated player, Albert Bell. This guy is overrated. Albert Bell is overrated as shit.
If anything, he's
Bell,
underrated.
he is overrated. You know, overrated. You know,
I think
he had like 1 or 2 good seasons. You know, that '95 where the Indians went to the World Series, that was it. You know, this muscle. You know, when he did that.
I don't think this guy knows the difference between overrated.
I know the difference. I know the difference between overrated and underrated. Albert Bell is overrated. You know, compared to the other guys. You know, like Barry Bonds. You know, he ain't no Barry Bonds. You know,
by no means.
Yeah, no means. You know, but Albert Bell,
He's one of the best power hitters of all time.
What? Hell no.
Yes, he is. Look at the stats.
No.
Look at the stats.
Yeah, look at the stats. You know, his batting average lifetime is like 240. 240 lifetime.
Take a break right now.
Yeah, 240 lifetime. All right, while he looks that up, I'll move on to my next pick. Oh yeah, I said Roger Mariscal. Yeah, another guy from that era, Sammy Sosa, is extremely overrated. Like, because Sosa, you know, he had a couple good seasons. I'm really shocked he got over 600 home runs. That's props to you. But his lifetime batting average, I think even lower that. I think it's like a 240 or 230, something like that.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
You know, like ever since the 2000s rolled, he like really sucked, and then he got that one thing where he changed his skin. He's like lighter. You know, that boy looks ugly like that, man. I'm not gonna lie.
That's like some body shit, fool.
Yeah, but Sosa, I mean, compared to the other greats, you know, in that era, like Griffey, McGuire, and Bonds, he was the least great in that era, you know, of power hitters, you know. That
take a break right now.
You know, that fluke season.
295, 381, 1239.
Really? 295? Oh, not bad. You know, those are not bad stats. You know,
that's superstar.
You know,
numbers.
in little league, that is not bad. But once you're up in the big leagues, you know, you gotta have numbers better than that. You gotta have that in the big league. Those numbers gotta be okay. 295, not bad. In the big leagues, you gotta have over 300. You know, for homers, for homers, this has got to be over 500. You know, and RBIs just got to be over 2,000. Okay. So look at these stats. He proved my point that he is overrated because he doesn't have those kind of stats. He is not a Barry Bonds or a McGuire in that sense.
Look, a 10-year span. 10-year span.
10 years. Okay, that's not bad. 10 years. But
28 home runs, 34, 38, 36, 50, 48, 30, 49, 37.
You know, that's not bad, but guess who else? Guess who else played 10 years and had way better stats than that? You know, Josh Gibson. You might not know him, but he was in the Negro Leagues from the 30s and 40s. He only played like 10, 12 years. He had over 892 homers in that short span. But they did play a shit ton of games, you know. So that is probably why, because they play like 2 or 3 games a day.
So with your logic, do you think that Giancarlo Stanton is overrated?
Giancarlo Stanton overrated?
Because
as of right now, a little bit, yes. He is a little bit overrated right now because ever since that 2016, 17, those seasons, he hasn't really done shit, you know. He's been injured most,
due to injuries?
Yeah, he's having injuries, you know. He hasn't really lived up to his potential as a Yankee, you know. So yes, he is a little bit overrated. I will do that. But we gotta move on with this. So I got 2 more players to discuss why I think they're overrated. Fernando Valenzuela, this guy is overrated. Yes, he is overrated. He has, his record is 173 to 153.
Okay.
Look at that record. Like, that should be higher, you know. That is almost,
pitchers don't always control their record unless they're on a good team.
You know, well, the strikeouts high, yeah, but come on, that win-loss record is not good. And he was on a good team. The Dodgers were great when he was playing. You know, I just think, you know, he was overrated, you know, because he was one of the first Mexican pitchers to be in the league. So people were overlooking. They were just like, oh, he's great. He's one of the GOATs. You know, some people call this pitcher the greatest of all time. He's a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a hater in any way, shape, or form. But this guy is just overrated. When you compare to pitchers like Nolan Ryan, Roger Clemens, this guy is not in the talk for greatest pitchers of all time. Now, these players who I have overrated, they're not bad players at all. I just think they're overhyped. People talk about them like they're some kind of gods or something, which is not true. That's all I'm saying, you know. But he was a good player, you know, but I don't think he should be discussed in the top 10 or 20 greatest pitchers of all time. And who I think is the most overrated MLB player, this guy, man, it took so long for this guy to get out of the league. Bartolo Colon. This guy is the most overrated pitcher of all time. No wonder why he was on 11, 12 teams, because he sucked.
Okay, I'm not going to disagree with you on that one.
He sucked, you know, and he hit 1 career home run and it was like, wow, so good, Barry Bonds good. Like, no, he had 1 home run, boo-hoo, you know. But he just wasn't, you know, that good, you know. You know, yes, he played a long time, yes.
Hey, also, remember how Bartolo Colon, he won the 2005 AL Cy Young Award.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good, but, you know, I don't think he should have won that award. That was 2005, right?
2005 was a very rough year for AL.
In 2005, you know, that was the AL, right? He should not have won because in the 2005, the Astros went to the World Series that year. You know who they had on the... Wait, no, the Astros... My bad. The Astros were not in the AL 05. They were in the NL. I was about to say, you know, because the Astros had a stacked pitching lineup that year. You know, because now the Astros are in the AL, so I got that confused because they had Oswalt, Clemens, and Petit, probably one of the greatest pitching stats ever. But that's a video for another day. But in the AL that year, let's see, 05. I mean, let's see, Bartolo, man, did the league really suck?
I think Randy Johnson was on the Yankees.
Oh yeah, then what the? Oh, he sucked. Oh, never mind. But Johnson any day will beat him in a fucking, you know, in a meter throw. They want everyone to do that, you know, in a meter throw. When you do that, you know, when you do the speed, you know, Randy Johnson can throw faster than Bartolo Colon any day of the week.
I don't think that really matters, man.
You know, Randy Johnson could have his arm chopped off, you know, and still throw with the right hand and still throw faster.
Oh my god.
All right, you know, before we end this video, Del, you know, who do you think the most underrated player today is? Just one player today. Who do you think?
Today, underrated.
Yeah, underrated today. Yeah, I think you probably disagree, but I think Rafael Devers is underrated as shit. He's starting to get a little bit of recognition. Like he's gonna be in the All-Star game. I think he's starting, you know, so it's about time. But I still think he's a little underrated. I think this guy should be treated like a fucking king. You know, that's why he should be treated like a king because he's that good. You know, he brings a lot to the table. You know, he can hit good. He can play defense good. He can run good, man. Everything this person does is top-notch A-list baseball player.
I'm actually going with somebody who is kind of like a Rafael Devers rival, Yohan Moncada.
Well,
I think people forget about his potential and how good he was in 2019. And he's still so young, so there should be no reason for him to continue to not do as good as how he did in 2019 and keep up that good work. You feel me?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yohan Moncada is my pick.
And I think the most overrated. We'll go to the overrated. I think Bryce Harper is overrated. You said it earlier. Yeah, we can both agree on that, unless you have another pick. But yeah, Bryce Harper is really overrated. Definitely the most overrated. I think when it's all said and done, when he's retired, unless he proves something wrong, please, Bryce Harper, prove us wrong. But I think he might even go down as the most overrated player of all time when it's all said and done. Possibly, because he is really overrated. But time will only tell, you know.
Yeah.
But we want to thank y'all for watching the video. Like, comment, subscribe to Madrid Videos. Tell your family, friends. You got anything else you want to say?
Still sucks.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. Fuck the Red Sox.
And I mean, agree or disagree with my picks. They're my picks. If you don't want to have a discussion, I'll be glad to destroy y'all with my opinions, my thoughts on baseball, because I'm the mastermind when it comes to that shit, fool.
The most
All right.
biased motherfucker I've ever met.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for watching. Let's get it, yo. Stay tuned.